So this morning, Our Lady gave me an interlocution about prayer and fasting. My children, as you prepare for Lent, I deeply desire you to reflect on the passages of the Bible about prayer and fasting. It is not about quantity and boasting, but it is about simplicity, humility, and sincerity of heart. My children, that is why I call you, through Medjugorje, to do all these things with the heart, so that you will come to understand what you are doing and how to grow in love and in virtue. My children, above all this Lent, I desire for you to make a special effort to pray and to refrain from all types of sin as much as possible. Encourage each other to pray, and do not be afraid to make prayer the topic of your conversation when you meet together, rather than falling into idle talk or gossiping. My children, you will receive far more graces this Lent if you make every effort to love and to help each other. So, quite a powerful message there, to be honest with you, and a couple of different points. The first point is perhaps reading what it says in the Bible about prayer and fasting. And as I was reflecting on this, it certainly hit me that in the Bible, I think there's certainly the example of King David and others in the Old Testament, that they were convicted of their sin. They knew that they had messed up. And from that place, they said, I know, we're going to pray, we're going to fast, and by doing that, the Lord will relent. And they did, and he did. But the thing is, you see, they did it from this place of conviction, of repentance, of sincerity, of regret. And see, it came from the heart. And that's what Our Lady is saying, that she wants the prayer and the fasting that we do to come from our hearts. So say, for example, there are certain areas, you look back in your life and there are certain areas that you've gone to confession about, you know that you're forgiven, but at the same time you also know that your actions caused a lot of hurt. Well, they're the areas that you could say, well, I can't undo the damage I did to that particular person. But what I can do is, this Lent, I can offer up something, maybe drinking wine or something. I can offer that up to God and offer that as a sacrifice. Offer that so that person will be blessed, or that their family will be blessed if they're not still alive or whatever. So that then becomes our motivation. That becomes the heart motivation. Or we could offer up saying, I'm offering this up, and I'm offering it up for the holiness of priests. And every time I feel tempted to do that, I'm going to offer this temptation, I'm going to offer the sacrifice of that, so that a priest somewhere around the world will be blessed. So when we do something from the heart with the heart, it means that we know why we're doing it and we're passionate about it, which means that if we get tempted to break our fast or whatever, we remind ourselves, we come back to, well, why am I really doing this? And then when we remind ourselves of that, we have that firmer resolution to basically keep on going and not to break our fast. So then that's why she's saying to do it from the heart, because the heart is where the power is. When we are really motivated to do something, we could do amazing things. So then she's saying that she desires us to make a special effort to pray and to refrain from all types of sin as much as possible. And she goes on to say that even when we meet together, to try to make prayer the topic of conversation. Because you see, Our Lady isn't stupid. Our Lady knows that we like friends, we like talking, we like meeting together. But she also knows that when people meet together, often they like to talk, they like to maybe gossip a bit about this, a bit about that. And so it can easily turn from holy to not so holy. So Our Lady is trying to tell us there's nothing wrong with meeting together, but why not make prayer the subject of our conversation? Why not help each other? And if one person, for whatever reason, says something that's a bit gossipy or that's a bit negative, instead of just joining in saying, oh, hold on, let's not talk about that, let's come back here for a second, in a gentle way. And then she says that we will receive far more graces if we help one another. Now that makes perfect sense. When you see groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or these type of groups, it's all based on helping one another in community. It's also when you see at the gym or you see other places learning languages. Again, it's all based on helping one another, correcting one another, reaching out to one another when we're struggling. And why? Because this creates a sense of community, it creates a sense of vulnerability, it creates a sense of honesty, it creates a sense of openness. And also, if you know that your neighbour down the road is struggling a little bit, they've given up wine for Lent and they're struggling with that or something, and you've given up chocolate and you're struggling with that, well, if you both help each other, there's that extra motivation. But if you think you're the only one struggling and everybody else is doing fine, well, then the evil spirit is quick to jump in there and say, oh, well, you need consolation, you're the only one that's struggling here, how about a nice piece of chocolate to console you? So, helping one another also helps us to realize that the other person or people are struggling just as much as us. And so when we're doing that, then we're motivating one another, we're loving one another, we're helping one another, and then we're praying for one another, and basically the whole thing grows exponentially. So anyway, going back to it all, Our Lady is saying, do it with the heart, do it with love, do it with motivation, do it together, help one another, motivate one another, pray together, talk together about prayer, read some of the Bible passages about prayer, about fasting, and above all, have a holy, loving Lent where Jesus and Mary can fill us to the brim with graces so that we can be amazing apostles of love and light to everybody we meet. Thank you.